36 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Friends You Can Keep podcast. For those of you playing the home game, you'll notice that this is the same setup as our latest TikTok and Instagram video reviewing Coke. And if you're wondering, yes, that was supposed to be the beginning of what would have been this episode. But for some reason, we were mid-recording, and I'm like, let me just check that this is still recording. And it was not. The phone had died and recorded 11 minutes of what was probably a half-hour conversation at that point.
At least you didn't lose the whole lot.
It might have been... It was probably about 20 minutes.
You didn't lose that much.
No, we didn't. Well, not of what we did. We didn't do the whole episode, and then I got up like, oh, let me check this. We were probably not even a quarter of the way in. But I do have tons of notes, as you can tell from the notebook here. It's basically just like shit I saw on TikTok and all that stuff. So we'll start with... We did vaguely talk about this last time before we got cut off. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I saw an interview with somebody. It wasn't Chris Columbus. Is that who directed that movie? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he's dead.
This is the guy that did Home Alone.
Yes. So it was. I think it was a producer. They screened the movie like 9 times in the month of September, and people hated it. Everyone walked out of that movie. They asked them about it. John Candy is a user. He's not offering any money. He's just using Steve Martin for money and travel and everything else. Steve Martin is an enabler because he's just paying for everything, and he's not doing anything to make John Candy learn anything, essentially.
Which is weird. Like, why were you hoping to get that out of that movie?
Well, I think it was more like...
It was frustrating.
So what he revealed was they cut the scene where they're getting off the train, and John Candy says to Steve Martin, I need your address so I can send you all the money. And Steve Martin says, don't worry about it, consider it a gift. They cut that scene out. When they added it back in, then people loved the movie again. I think without that scene, when you get to the end of the movie, it's almost like a movie where like I can't root for either one of you. Because that's what it is. Like, John Candy never offers to pay for anything. Like, maybe at the beginning. But then it's always an excuse throughout the movie. I lost this, I lost that, I put your stuff in my wallet, it was in the car, and it lit on fire. Like, there's a bunch of excuses throughout the movie. That I think without that scene of, like, I need to send you the money. Because you paid for everything and I feel bad. And then him being like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Consider it a gift. Like, it makes Steve Martin look like less of an asshole in that regard. And it makes John Candy look like less of an asshole in the regard of just using Steve Martin for everything.
And I think it shows like a little bit of like, maybe like friendship between the two of them.
Yes, I think it does show.
It ties up a lot.
What I want to know is, not that I guess it could have still, but you cut that scene out. Does the movie end the same way?
Oh, where he goes to his house.
Like, does he still go back into the train station or whatever? Because Steve Martin gets on the subway. Wait, it's not really a subway. I guess it's technically still a train. Remember, Steve Martin gets on the train and John Candy's like, whatever about meeting his family, and then Steve Martin goes back to the station, and John Candy's just sitting in the train station with his bags.
I guess
and then he's
it
like,
does.
I thought you were going home, Del. And he's like, my wife died however many years ago. And we never had kids. Like, whatever.
Did they cut that whole scene?
Well, that's different. That's a different scene. So I am wondering, like, what else was cut?
Because I was initially...
Because that happens, and then he goes with him home for the holidays. That's what I'm wondering, like, so you cut out the, like, let me pay for it scene. But then, like, is the rest of the movie the same?
Yeah, because why wouldn't that do something similar?
But I feel like that would be... If you cut that scene out, I feel like it would be more maddening.
Right, but then he just turns around.
Because then it really feels like John Candy is nothing but a charity case.
Right.
If you get to the point of, like, there is no him offering to pay for anything... And the movie still ends with like, oh, you don't have a family? Come to my house for the holidays after I've
Right,
already
yeah,
paid
yeah,
for you
yeah,
to
yeah,
travel
yeah.
across country. Which then raises the question of like, now that I'm thinking about this, why was he traveling across the country? Unless that is where I guess he lived.
Yeah, well, he was a salesman.
Well, and he kept saying about going home to his wife, but he didn't have a wife.
But that's
So,
where
like,
he
did
lives.
he still live there?
Yeah, he
But they
must-
don't ever tell you that because he goes to Steve Martin's house. They don't tell you, like, does he actually live
Well,
there?
maybe it's a situation where he's going home.
So
but
I think
his
without
wife is not.
so
being
I
there.
think without offering to pay for it, it really would come across like, oh, this guy's just a fucking grifter salesman because he sells shower curtain rings. So if you got to the end of that movie and he didn't once offer to pay for anything, and then you go to Steve Martin's house for holidays,
Yeah.
I would definitely have watched that movie and be like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Right. It,
Now that we're like talking through
it
the
gives
end,
a whole different tone.
yes, yeah, you have to add in the caveat of like, and I think it's even more so because it's not just like, oh, let me pay you. It's what's your address so I can send you all the money.
Right. I want to pay you back for
Yes.
everything. Yeah.
I'm gonna jump around here a little bit because I wrote these in order of when I saw them. So that was TikTok. This next one is not a TikTok, but it's hilarious to me. On South Park Avenue. Is that the road that Kelly Ray used to live on?
It's just Park
Off of
Avenue.
Egypt?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's south. Because when you cross Germantown, it's north.
Yeah, yes.
So somewhere on South Park, I forget where, there's one of those like makeshift billboards for Donald Trump, where it's like the wood 2x4s,
Oh.
huge in the front yard. But why I bring it up and why I laugh, I drove past the other day. It is clearly from 2016.
Oh, no.
So all you see is Trump. Then, in just enough off that it is noticeable, of blue spray paint, they spray painted over Mike Pence's name, and they spray painted over the year 2016, and then took white spray paint and put 2024 over the 2016.
So they didn't even put Vance?
Jesus Christ, no! It just says Trump, and then a clear big, like, spray painted blue spray paint blob over what was Mike Pence's name, and then a little one over 2016, and then white spray paint to do 2024, and I was just like,
But you couldn't even put...
but why would... I don't understand. You support the man so much as to have a billboard in your front yard, yet you couldn't shell out the money for one that is current. You just
Right.
went to the store
Why not
and bought
just-
spray paint.
Or, like, spray paint the whole thing. Start over from scratch. Just make it a whole homegrown. Because, like, we can all tell. We all see what you
It
did
was
here.
so funny. He did have a small, one of the Trump Vance yard signs.
Just tape that on the...
Yeah, spray paint the whole thing blue and then tape that small ass yard sign right in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it was hysterical.
I think if you use those yard signs, it's like a minimum of 10 in your yard, though. You can't have just one.
Yeah, if you're voting for Trump, you've got like at least at the road there's 5.
I mean, minimum.
And then in your yard there's more. But like at the road in a line of how you're driving in traffic, there's 5
Yeah.
of them. And they're different. 2 of them are Trump Vance, one of them just says Trump. One of them is from 2016 and it's got Pence's name has like duct tape over it and it says 2024 on it. Staying in this lane, but back to TikTok. I get these weird, super weird. I've been like, don't recommend, not interested in these lives. The live suggestions when I swipe through. One of them was from Grace. It's not Grace Bible, just Grace Fellowship Church. Their TikTok account. Their TikTok live.
The one by us?
I don't know. If that's just it's Grace Fellowship Church. That's the TikTok thing. The guy on there, so it was I'm voting for Trump. Tell me why you're voting for Kamala Harris. I swipe.
Sorry.
Bless you. I swipe into it. I did not hear what the guy said who was voting for Kamala Harris when I swiped into it. All I hear is the guy from Grace Fellowship Church. And I only bring this up because there are things that come when it comes to Trump, especially because he's really heinous when it comes to this, and his supporters are really bad about it. That I know irk you beyond belief. So whatever the Kamala Harris guy must have brought up, that Donald Trump is a convicted felon.
Okay.
To which the guy from Grace Fellowship fired back with, I forget the exact wording.
A Bible verse about how it's fine.
It was not a Bible verse. It was, well, there's someone else I also follow that's a felon.
Ugh.
And his name is Jesus.
Oh.
I don't compare them in any other light, but they were both felons, wrongfully called felons.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, oh, I have to tell Kelly
No,
this.
we don't do that.
Because I'm like, this is the kind of shit I lived to tell Kelly about.
No. No, we don't. No. No.
Your visible confusion is amazing to me.
I have a lot of questions.
About
Why
what?
is he calling Jesus a felon?
Because
like he
You're
all
asking
this-
the wrong person that.
all the stuff he did in the temple and like the taxpayer business or the Caesar business.
I mean, he was crucified, so I guess that was his punishment for being a felon.
He was
given-
wrongfully convicted, obviously.
That's what he's saying.
But Trump wasn't wrongfully convicted.
But that's what he said. They were both titled felons, wrongfully so, is what that guy said.
Yeah, well, one of them's not wrongfully so.
To him, yes.
But I also don't. I guess. In my whole life, I've never once heard someone use that analogy. Because there's a lot of times you hear, like, why people minister to people in prison. And, like, that the felons are people. And, like, there's a lot of things that people use to defend why you would minister to someone who's in prison and felons. And why people aren't for the death penalty because,
yes.
Like of the humanization of felons and
yeah.
things like that. Never once have I heard someone say, like, well, Jesus was a felon.
Yeah.
What?
What's worse is it's from a church's TikTok account.
No, that's just not you. But it's also like, okay, if that's the vein you want to go, fine. But we're not. The comparison there is really not. That's not right.
The look on your face is up there with me telling you about Trump's Bible.
Oh God.
And that song, I wish I remembered any of the lyrics, but that song that I showed you, I think it was on TikTok. Or the Daily Show talking about it. It wasn't in my For You page. Someone else that was a comedian talked about it.
I heard it.
Where it's talking about, like, it's using he and him and, like, the chosen one,
Yeah,
but
but
they're
it's-
talking about Donald Trump.
And it's like a woman and her daughter were singing it at his rallies.
Well, no, that's different. That's the one they talked about on Free With Ads, or it's Get Out the Way, Old Man Schumer, Get Out the
Oh,
Way,
yeah, no.
Stubborn
No, yeah.
Nancy.
But I did hear
they
that.
probably were doing it at his rallies.
Because I heard that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
A lot is wrong.
Because it's flat out. Like, he, capital H, him, capital H. Like, it's those vibes.
And it's about being chosen, the chosen one.
It's 90s rock, like, we're not a Christian band vibes. But then
very
it's all about...
It's very Switchfoot.
It's all about...
it's shitty.
It's very Creed. It's all about Trump and not Jesus. So it's basically what South Park did. We're like, oh, you just take baby and swipe out God.
Yep.
But they were like, oh, you just take everything and leave it. But it's about Donald Trump, not Jesus
That's
Christ.
very, like, thou shalt not worship false idols. Like, it's very that.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that's not like a mind. That's one of the big 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, when you're part of a cult,
yeah, but.
that's what you do.
But, yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
also...
bad. That's really bad.
So I get a lot of those. I've been putting 9 interesting. I don't care. I get a lot of those. What I normally get, though, is it's someone that's like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Tell me why you're voting for Donald Trump. Or tell me why I'm wrong. Like, whatever it is. It's like, come in and debate me on TikTok Live.
Let's not.
But so this is another one. I went in, swiped up. There it was. This was that one. It was a guy voting for Kamala Harris. Tell me why. I came in on the guy voting for Trump talking about, like, look at how much our country's gone down the shithole, blah, blah, blah. In the past however much time frame he said, since she has taken the presidency and Joe Biden stepped down.
That's not what happened.
And the guy was like, hold on. Like, the guy stops him and he's like, do you think Kamala Harris is president right now? And the other guy is like, well, yeah.
What?
Because when Joe Biden stepped down, she became president. And he's like, Joe Biden stepped out of the race for the next presidency. He didn't stop being president. He didn't resign from being president.
You think that would just happen so nonchalant?
And the guy's like, oh, really? Like, I forget what he says. And then he's like, well, I could, and this was his trying to cover my ass, like, dig at liberals. Well, I could, I was wrong, and I can admit when I'm wrong. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, you don't even know who the fucking president currently is. And I'm supposed to take your opinion on who to vote for?
It's a dog howling outside.
Like, that was wild to me when I heard that. So I'm listening to, speaking of podcasts, did I write that down? It's in here. Let me make sure I have nothing else in here, but I'll continue my story. So I went back and started listening to newcomers again. I finished, their Star Wars ones. The final episode, they watched Spaceballs. They didn't like it, which is really weird to me that you didn't like Spaceballs.
How can you not like Spaceballs?
Well, I think it's because they didn't... Not that you have to like Star Wars to like Spaceballs, but they didn't... Like, even after watching Star Wars, they still didn't really like it. So I think Spaceballs was just like...
It was too much.
I still don't like Star Wars, so this isn't funny to me, because I still... Well, and they're like, oh, it's very, like... Well, at one point they said about it being humor like the movie Airplane, and I'm like, wait a minute, do you not like the movie Airplane?
It's... I mean,
And like, oh, Pizza the Hut was so gross, and I'm like...
Yeah.
I was just like, what's happening? And Nicole Byer was like, I think I had a problem with there was no Luke. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, what? And Ahmed Best was their guest. And he was like, well, Lone Star is a combination of Luke and Han Solo. Like, it's the two characters combined. It was just so strange. I'm like, weird that you don't like Spaceballs, but okay.
Well, I guess he's supposed to be Han Solo more because Princess Leia is not his sister.
Well, it's a combination of both. Because he is the main hero, which Luke was the main hero.
Yeah.
But Ahmed Best was one of the guests, and he is telling stories about playing Jar Jar Binks, and he's telling stories about working on Star Wars back in the day. I was not aware that he was the first ever, like, CGI motion capture character ever in cinema.
Oh, so he's doing the movements.
Was Jar Jar Binks and Ahmed Best. But he's telling the story, hilarious story, of George Lucas, his wife, and children. I think his wife. Maybe not. No, he was probably... Well, I don't know if he remarried. But whatever. George Lucas and his kids, we'll just say. Ahmed Best and Natalie Portman go to a Michael Jackson concert because Michael Jackson did Captain EO with George Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
They were very good friends. And Michael Jackson loved Star Wars, like, whatever. So they went to a Michael Jackson concert.
It's funny that they took Jar Jar Binks.
Well, he tells the story. Well, Ahmed Best, Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson. So it was probably just like, oh, I like Michael Jackson? Come on. Natalie Portman loved Michael Jackson? Like, come on, we'll go to the show. But, so they're in this booth watching the concert. Ahmed Best says it's in England, wherever it was. I guess Wembley Stadium. He's like, all of a sudden, the wall in the back opens and a guy comes out. And like, oh, come with me. And I'm like, where the fuck did this guy come from? He's like, so we follow the guy out. We're walking through rooms where it is just a barrage of medical staff and people who are passed out just from being at a Michael Jackson concert.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's insane.
Like meeting Elvis, where people...
So they go and they meet Michael Jackson. And then Michael... I think this was like in between songs or something, like in between setups. I forget what happened. They met him very briefly. He left. Goes back out on stage. That guy takes them somewhere else. They're getting... And, like, they met at that time to the point of, like, not even introducing themselves. Like, just like a hello, 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 left. They're then leaving, like, oh, they're all going to go back to the hotel and hang out and do whatever. So they go outside. There's a fleet of, I think he said, like, Toyota minivans. And Michael is already out there. Comes out of one of the minivans. George Lucas, you know, they shake hands. How are you doing? How is your family? And, like, you remember my son, my daughter? And Michael's like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 like, whatever. That's what his voice was. This is Natalie Portman. Oh, hi, so nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And then George motions to Ahmed Best and says, and Michael, this is Jar Jar Binks. And Michael just goes, oh. And then turns and, like, leaves. And Ahmed Best made the joke, which a lot of people that met Michael Jackson made the joke of, like, outside of the inner circle, when you met Michael Jackson, it was this, and it was very soft, and it was very, like, my name is Michael Jackson. It was, for whatever reason, that's what he did. But then when he was behind closed doors, this was Michael Jackson. He had a super deep voice.
That's so weird.
And then he's like, but Ahmed Best is like, I had to share this story with you because it is so fucking hilarious to me. They get in the minivans, and Ahmed Best is like, George, what the hell was that about? Like, why did you introduce me as Jar Jar Binks? Why did Michael react the way he did to me? And George Lucas looks at Ahmed Best and goes, oh, Michael wanted to play Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my god! What? Could you have... What?
So, the way... maybe the movie didn't come out yet at that point. I forget. No, it couldn't have. Because they joked. So
did he still think that, like, maybe he had a shot?
So they joked, like, so the way George Lucas told Michael Jackson you didn't get the part was just by introducing him to the actor who did.
What a dick move. I mean...
And I'm like, all parts, like, it's such a dick move to Ahmed Best. Because, like, now Michael Jackson hates you because he wanted that role.
And you didn't know that?
No, you didn't. Because if Ahmed Best knew that, you were like, oh, give it to Michael Jackson. Like, I'm not going to tell Michael Jackson
also,
no.
like, oh, I probably wouldn't have gone to a concert if I knew, like, I'm at this concert, but you could let him know that he didn't get the part he wanted.
Yeah. I wouldn't have come here just for you to be like, oh, by the way, this is the guy who beat you.
What? That is insane. Also, could you imagine if Jar Jar Binks was voiced by Michael Jackson?
The absolute savagery of fucking George Lucas. Oh my god.
He's a weirdo, so... He is a weirdo, he's not dead.
So two other TikTok things that don't have, like... I've got... Well, a lot of these are TikToks. TikTok related. These are all TikTok related. So... I got a great TikTok of... I wondered how they would change this for Kidz Bop.
Oh, is it Hot to Go?
No.
Oh, is it, the other one?
The other one.
Pink Pony Show?
Pink Pony Club? No, it is not that one. It's not a Chappell Roan.
Oh, I thought I saw.
So for those of you that are unaware of what the original lyrics are, the original lyrics to this song are, heartbreak is one thing.
Oh.
My ego's another.
Uh-huh.
I beg you, don't embarrass me, motherfucker. The Kidz Bop lyrics are, heartbreak is one thing, my ego's another. I beg you, don't embarrass me or my mother.
Oh. I like it. I like it. That's a good one.
No, it's not.
Yeah, own it.
Stop it.
Also, do you ever notice that, like, there are songs on Kidz Bop where it's like, you know that the curse words aren't the problem here?
Oh, they definitely did, like, WAP.
Yeah.
I feel like on Kidz
Bop.
And
it's like, what? But you're still...
I guarantee you they did.
You're still saying weird stuff.
Why is it spelled with a Z? Why is it Kidz Bop?
Because they're cool.
Sure. That's what I would say. That's how I would describe the kids that do Kidz Bop. How embarrassed are you as an adult?
No more.
When you realize that you did Kids Bop.
No, more embarrassed than you are when, like, you were the kids on Barney.
That's different, though. No. Because Barney is, you're on a show that's original and you're doing original things.
I mean, you're getting paid.
You're not a, like, preteen kid singing, like, weird covers that are, like...
Family friendly.
Yeah, edited for content.
I mean, I guess... I'm trying to think of, like, something that would be similar.
Because you better believe if I knew a child that was involved, like if we were friends, I would be roasting the shit out of them all the time. Like, bro,
well, like,
you were on Kids Bop.
They're getting paid.
Who cares?
I mean, I would be less embarrassed to be a kid on Kids Bop than I would be to be Rebecca Black.
Oh, no. Because her song was original.
She paid for it, though.
Her song was dumb.
She didn't make money. She paid for that.
Her song was dumb, but she has other songs. Like,
yeah, she's like metal now.
She continued her career, but like...
But still.
But hers is... I would rather listen to Rebecca Black than fucking Kids Bop.
Patrice. With Patrice.
Is that who's in the Rebecca Black song?
It's the producer.
Oh, sure. I don't...
And you gotta look up the Thanksgiving song.
I know Friday, and that's about... You've played it for me before.
Nothing is forbidden, because it's Thanksgiving.
What?
That's the chorus, in case you're wondering. The holiday where anything goes.
Have you gotten... I'm just rapid firing through these TikTok things I wanted to talk about. Have you gotten introduced... I don't know why it's all over my TikTok. Have you gotten introduced to Frankie Valli TikTok?
No.
I get them all the time. And it is current Frankie Valli. It is not like, here's old clips. It is current Frankie Valli.
No. How old is he?
Him currently performing in Las Vegas. That's a good question. How old is Frankie Valli? Before I continue on here, let's find that out.
I mean, he's got to be.
Franklin Valli. Frankie Valli, American singer. 90.
Oh, okay. Well, good for him still performing.
He is 90 and, well, we're getting there.
Oh, dear.
He is still performing. Is hotter than ever in the 21st century, is what, according to his website.
Is he, though?
The last Encores tour, 2023 to 2024. Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
This is the, like...
So
Sherry baby.
Maybe he's done.
Right?
These pictures are old. They are not current pictures of him. Yeah, that's... Grease is the word.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry.
I just wanted to make sure that I was picturing the right.
Who else? What else does he do? Tons of them. Oh, What a Night.
I was gonna. That was about. I
and
was
what's
like,
the song?
One? Oh, what a night.
The one from 10 Things I Hate About You. What the fuck is the name of that song?
I love you, baby.
Yeah, what's the name of it though? I don't remember the name of it. Anyways, it is bizarre because I have the same question that many of the comments have, where it is this man an animatronic?
Oh no.
Because let me put this on to illustrate for you what's happening. I will play the beginning of this song when the words start, and I will do what Frankie Valli is doing on stage, so you can get an idea. He's got a microphone in his hand, so we'll pretend my phone is the microphone.
Okay.
What's happening is this. Let me go here. I'll go back like a second, so there's a touch of music before. So he'll like walk out on stage, shuffle, does his 90-year-old shuffle out on stage. I mean, kudos to him for being able to still walk out on stage. Walks out on stage, does like a little bit of like, as they're playing the music.
Yeah.
Does a little bit of
crowd
like,
sway where you wave to
a
everybody.
little like shuffling back and forth. He's not waving. A little bit of shuffling back and forth. Then he gets there and it's.
Is he singing? Or is he lip singing? You think?
Well, everyone's question is.
Grease is the word.
You're not lip singing. Your mouth is not moving.
Oh,
so no, it's not even that. It's like
or just like twitching. It's the Hall of Presidents for the president that doesn't talk. Who's the one whose mouth is always kind of like twitchy?
And it's like people were like, is this an animatronic? Because it looks like an animatronic. Because, like, you cannot convince me that those words are coming out of his mouth. Not in a million years could you convince me.
Wasn't that happening on the Hall of Presidents? Where, like...
No, one of them just the mouth is janky.
But I thought it was almost Trump's, where it looked like he was talking like...
Well, no, he looks like John Voight.
But, like, he...
You know what's weird? Just to go off on this tangent for a second. He came out, he looked like John Voight. I firmly believed the conspiracy theory that they made a Hillary Clinton.
Uh-huh.
And that's why he looks a bit more like Hillary Clinton. They made a Hillary Clinton and edited it a little bit. What's weird is, I saw a current picture of him from somewhere, from at a rally, and I'm like, oh, you aged into your Hall of Presidents animatronic.
You look more like...
Because wherever I saw him, I'm like, you look more like that animatronic now than you did 4 years ago.
Yeah, for some reason I thought, like...
8 years ago, I guess.
Like, everyone else, and it might not be him, but, like, one of them, like, their mouth was always just sort of, like, moving.
I think it's Lincoln.
Where, like, they're not supposed to be talking, but, like, their mouth is just...
It's probably W.
Just, like, a little...
It's probably W.
He's saying everyone else's lines.
Yeah.
In case they forget it, he's there to help.
He doesn't remember their lines. He
He's
doesn't remember his lines.
He's just there to offer a candy and fool me once. Can't be fooled again.
Yes. They should have done his... After he left the presidency, his animatronic should just be actual... Like, I don't care if the mouth matches or not. Just be actual sound bites from him. I want to go into the Hall of Presidents, and it's like, George W. Bush. And it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me won't be fooled again.
Now watch this drive.
No, so that's that one. It's different. It's like the Tower of Terror. It's different every time you go in. So you get that clip because he only does like one thing. He might even just wave at this point.
No, he still gets to talk. It's like the last...
Does he though? I don't think he does. I think Obama talks, and then I think...
Because I know there's a couple, like Lincoln... George Washington might talk.
Yeah, like your big hitters.
Yeah, and then I thought it was like the last couple. I don't remember, honestly.
It's very end of Hamilton when they're all coming out and talking every time.
And they just all stand up. Except for the one. He might stand up. He might stand up.
Oh my god.
I don't know, but...
Oh, God, Teddy Roosevelt.
It's Franklin.
It's Franklin, I know. I just like to say Teddy's name.
It's because we just watched Night at the Museum.
It's just hilarious to think that we had a president named Teddy.
Well, his name was Theodore.
Yeah, but no one called him Theodore.
I don't know.
Oh, my God. But could you imagine? I mean,
Didn't we have somebody named Tricky Dick? So.
That's a... Well, no one... People didn't call him that to his face.
But they probably did.
Now I'm just picturing... I know it's not the case. Now I'm just picturing at the Hall of Presidents in front of FDR, there's like something blind. He's at the Oval Office desk.
He's at a railing.
He's at the Oval Office desk.
Yeah, you can't tell. He's standing at a window railing where he's shackled.
Yeah, when he's they have him. So his is the most like ornate animatronic because he's facing out the window, and then when they call his name, he has to turn and wave and then turn back.
But you can see the shackles on the window thing to keep him standing up.
Oh my god!
You didn't believe me that people didn't know that he was in a wheelchair.
No, I did believe you, but my question, you said it as if like no one knew. And that's so hard for me to believe that, like, you were the fucking president. You're telling me not a single person knew you were in a wheelchair?
I think also he could walk a little bit.
Yeah, there was we did this in a different episode that got cut, or we didn't put it up. I forget what happened that we didn't talk about this, but this is hysterical. The fact that we are the only podcast in 2024 but doing like a whole riffs on FDR.
We love him. We love a good FDR. We love a Green Deal. The New Deal.
Well, then you talk about how would they know? And I just immediately think of like if FDR was president now, him doing a TikTok where it's that sound of like no one's gonna know.
How would they know?
And it's like them hiding that he's in a wheelchair.
That he's just three Muppets in an overcoat.
Oh
FDR like a good guy? Is it okay that we like him?
He ran against Hillary Clinton, and then when all the Muppets fell over, Hillary was like, I can't believe I fell for Muppet Man! I can't believe you people voted for Muppet Man! Yes, he was a good guy. He was president for 3 terms.
Well, that was in wartime.
Yes. But he wouldn't have... If he was an asshole, people would be like, get the fuck out of here, dude. We don't care. Wartime or not, you're the worst.
I mean, all of our jokes are only out of love.
Yeah.
But it's just so remarkable.
Oh my god.
That, like...
It's so funny. But yeah, I want that to be the new iteration of W. How do we make... One of them, he just offers you a candy from his How do we make the Hall of Presidents new and exciting? Now, every time you go in, W is different.
He's in a different spot? Oh my god! He's in the crowd?
I was gonna say, one time he's at the back of the room, and they're like, but the spotlight has to move. Mm-hmm. So it's like, George W. Bush. But it doesn't like linger. Well, no. George W. Bush. It does a figure 8, and then a quick like swipe to the back, and that's the one where you get like I am calling on all countries to help end this terrorist activity. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
I mean, if that's not the greatest thing you've ever seen.
Oh my god.
It's just...
It's
so seamless!
We talked before about shooting short bits like we're a goddamn improv troupe of FDR bits. We are 1000% shooting a fake pitch meeting of how to spice up the Hall of Presidents at Disney World. And it is all centered around W.
George W. Bush. One of them, as you leave, he just gives you a caramel. Or as you enter. Maybe as you enter.
Oh my god. No, yeah. As you enter, he's giving you candy. And then there's another one where you're leaving, and the last thing you hear is like, he's in the middle of the stage, so he's like the last thing that happens. And as the curtain is like, here, you just hear like, that was some weird shit.
Yes. Yes. Or just he mumbles it right after, but... Trump doesn't do it. What does he say now?
You still give Trump a speech of some kind, and then you just faintly hear. There's no lights on.
Yeah.
You just faintly hear before they announce, like, President Joseph Biden. Like, before that comes on, Trump's speech, like, and thank you, whatever it ends with. Thank you. And then it ends, lights go out. That was some weird shit. Ladies and gentlemen, President Joseph Biden.
So,
oh my god. That is so funny.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh.
Well, Trump could.
We haven't been there since Biden's been president, so I don't know.
Yeah, we have.
We didn't go into the Hall of Presidents,
No, we didn't, because nobody wanted to.
No. I'm not dragging my 4-year-old son into the fucking Hall of Presidents on his second trip to Disney World.
Maybe he would have really liked it. I don't know.
Or my 1-year-old.
Oh, Tony did go in it.
Yeah, the first time.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I think he fell asleep. Or he was asleep, that's why we went in.
He might have been asleep.
I think he was asleep, and that's why we went in.
And it was air conditioning.
Because when we don't go in, your mom gets real mad about it, so we went in for your mom.
Well, we all wanted to go in this time.
Yes.
Because we wanted to see.
Frankie Valli talk. Oh, I got
That's weird. I wonder why I haven't seen him.
I got a thing for board game. So we're big into board games here. Big board game family. I got a TikTok that has 2 dudes. There's a part 1. Could not find part 2. This is from part 1. Rules for board games. Don't bend the cards in your hand. I want to see like disagreement, agreement with any
Sure.
of these.
Especially if it's not your
any
own
comments.
game.
Don't bend the cards in your hand.
Okay.
No riffle shuffling of cards that are not your own.
What does that mean?
So that's where you do the... Where like
the
you
bridge?
push them together and then bridge them, yes.
Why? Is it bad for the cards?
Well, I think... So I saw comments that said, like, you can riffle shuffle as long as you bridge. So I think the issue that... And I don't know.
Oh, maybe it bends them when you
go
to push them back together.
I think the issue is...
Because you don't...
If you don't bridge them... Because there are people that just do that.
Yeah.
They do the first step and they just push them together.
Yeah.
So the issue is there you are bending them to get them to go in. But then you're not bending them back out to do the bridge.
I never thought of that. I always bridge because I like it. I think
they don't elaborate. They just say no riffle shuffling if it's not your own cards. No Cheetos or Doritos served at the game table. This one was just one word. Clockwise.
Oh, who's trying to go counterclockwise?
Well, there's people that ask, like, how are we playing? How does this go?
But you always go clockwise.
It's always clockwise unless specified.
I don't even think that would need to be...
This one needs to be...
You shouldn't be playing a board game if you need to control which direction to go. This one needs to be on a throw pillow and a canvas and a poster in our house, in the Mountain house, in your parents' house, in Jason's house. First time playing the game does not count. It is a learning game. Yeah, get over it.
So if you have never played before, win or lose, does not matter. First game does not count.
So everyone's supposed to cheat for you?
No. It could be all of us playing for the first time. It could be when Jason taught us Catan and they played and we had never played before. If he won, you don't then rub it in our face like, oh, whooped your ass. And it's like, of course you did. We've never played this before.
Yeah, but like...
Or if you lose, you don't get all bent out of shape like, I lost. Fuck you, I'm never playing this game again.
You learn by playing. So, if you gotta get flinched, you gotta get flinched. You suck it up. Oh, God. That's how you learn.
Yeah, until you play Farkle with stealing and you get all butthurt.
I just hate it. It's
and then Jason lets you win.
Well, because he got tired of hearing it.
Yeah. I had written down that Inside 2 was bad, but we don't really need to talk about that.
Inside Out 2, yeah. I was like, Inside what?
What did I say?
You just said Inside 2.
Oh,
Inside Out.
Inside Out 2 was not. Don't recommend. Highly overrated Disney movie.
Well, yes. If your kids liked Inside Out 1 and they want to watch it, sure.
If your kids are teens, they will appreciate Inside Out 2. Tony did not care for it.
Well, my mom said...
He had watched it on DVD with your mom 3 times or whatever, or 2 times. We watched it here.
3 times.
We watched it here. He wanted nothing to do with it.
But now, she did not say...
Play literally anything else.
He wanted to watch it, and he did not want us to turn it off. But, like... She didn't say, oh, he loved it. I just said. I'm like, oh, he never even said he watched it. He just kept...
same movie.
Because he kept asking me to buy it. And I'm like, we're not going to buy it because it's coming on Disney+.
It's the same. It's Inside Out. Just, like, the storyline is the same, but the characters are put in different places.
Yeah, it
was very strange.
It's not one... Like, if he wanted to keep watching it, I would tell him to watch the first one.
Well, like I said, I'm not a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So but maybe that's why.
Look at Turning Red, though. I feel like it's the same audience.
Yeah.
We loved Turning Red.
But I can appreciate that Inside Out...
But it's also the second one.
Inside Out 2 is not for me. I can also appreciate that it lives up to the lore of Disney and Pixar sequels, that they're not as good as the first ones. There are some anomalies. Finding Dory is better than Finding Nemo. Incredibles 2 is good. It's not better than Incredibles 1, but it's still good.
It's good, yeah.
Toy Story 2, they get good successfully. I think Toy Story 1 is still the best, but they continue to be good. I don't think they ever beat Toy Story 1, but Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3 are all good.
Yeah. Well, I only saw the first 2.
Toy Story 4 is not good.
I saw the third one in theaters.
Last 2 TikTok things before we move on to our big meat of the episode, and I wasn't going to do this in this episode, but I wanted to because they just came out, and it felt very prudent to talk about it. But the first 2 things are, this is a TikTok from Courier.
From who? Oh, Courier.
Courier. NBC News asked voters if they have a favorable opinion or unfavorable opinion of a whole host of national figures. Here's how voters ranked them. Least popular people. Number 3, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Number 2, Donald Trump.
Wow.
Number 1, can I take a guess?
J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance. Least popular person.
I'm surprised that Elon Musk... I guess not really. Just with the other 2, but...
Most popular person.
Tim Walz.
Number 3. Any guesses?
Joe.
Kamala Harris.
Oh! I would have put her at 1 or 2.
Number 2.
Well, Tim Walz.
Taylor Swift.
What the fuck? So Tim Walz is number one?
Number one, Tim Walz.
So this election is literally vice president versus vice president.
Yeah.
Based on this poll, it does not matter who the presidential candidate is. Because the popularity contest is between these two vice presidents.
Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
And maybe that's what's swaying.
Could be. It definitely could be.
I
think if you are a true, undecided voter...
J.D. Vance might have pushed you over the edge.
I think, yeah. What's pulling you one way or the other is...
And maybe if you were on the fence about Kamala, maybe...
Could be.
Maybe Tim Walz, really...
It could be.
Whatever she was lacking for you
can find...
Had.
When they said... Whoever talked about it, that I said to you, politically, it is rare that... So a vice president can boost a presidential nominee.
That's really all they're there for.
You can help the ticket. It is rare that a vice presidential nominee will bring your ticket down. But it has been proven historically since they announced it that J.D. Vance has done nothing but bring Donald Trump's ticket down. Trump's not polling great. J.D. Vance is polling worse than everybody.
Yeah. It's very interesting. All the circumstances are so... And everything feels so unprecedented.
Yes.
Where, the race of vice presidents, I feel like in most cases, they're irrelevant. You're not oh...
Yeah.
I'm not voting for them because I don't like his second. Who cares?
Yeah.
I understand that if something were to happen to the president, it's going to matter. And because a lot of people said it when it was Trump, Pence.
That goes in with the point of, they don't usually hinder your campaign. They can help you, but they don't usually hinder it.
Right, because you just pick someone who's...
Usually they either boost you or they do nothing.
Right.
It's rare that they hinder you. And it falls into the same thing of, people care, but they don't care enough to I'm not going to vote for you because of that person. Whereas in this case, I think you are getting people that are I'm not voting for Donald Trump because of J.D. Vance.
Or I was already considering not voting for him.
Yeah, I was already...
Pick this guy?
I was already
Yeah.
swaying. And then you're oh, my VP is J.D. Vance. And it's no thank you.
And lots of stuff came out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah.
This last TikTok is... Early 2000s viral internet songs you still remember. It is 11.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter. What did you say? Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Okay.
Jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Number one.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Cat. I'm a kitty cat.
I'm a kitty cat. Is there one where it's his dancing is just one of these is gonna be the panda bear, I hope.
I've known peanut butter jelly time and that's it.
You don't know the cat? Oh man. It's also gonna be the guy. Oh shoot.
The Numa guy?
Yeah.
Ice cream and cake and cake. Ice cream and cake and cake. Ice cream and cake and cake.
Okay, this is just peanut butter jelly.
Ice cream and cake, do the ice cream and cake. Ice cream and cake, do the ice cream and cake.
It's literally the same dance.
Ice cream and cake, ice cream and cake, do the ice cream and cake.
Oh, I remember this.
Yep, I remember this.
Keyboard cat.
When the duck walked up to the lemonade stand and he said to the man, run in the
Is
sand.
this gonna be the llama llama llama
Hey,
llama llama
whoa,
llama
whoa,
llama?
Got any grapes?
Llama duck.
Didn't know that one.
What?
Don't know this one. Badgers.
I hope that the panda bear.
I know this picture. The Nyan cat. Don't know. It's the Pop-Tart cat.
It's the frog.
Yeah, Crazy Frog.
Meh, meh.
We all know this one.
Dumbledore. Snipe. Severus Snape.
I've seen
Snape.
this.
Snape. Severus Snape. Snape.
Harry Potter Puddle Pals.
I cannot believe that the panda bear was. I'm just a panda bear, sexy little panda bear, and I'll dance for you.
Not
if you give
a
me
clue.
quarter.
I think
Disappointed.
that's it. The last thing I have to talk about that I felt was pertinent to talk about. I probably could have given it its own episode, but I won't. We've talked about it too much now. There's too much build-up. It was brought to my attention through TikTok. So they did one that I thought about covering, but we don't really... It's not in our lane enough. There was a video of a guy, clearly in the UK, that a owner of a record store and an employee. Rolling Stone did a list of the top 100 album covers of all time.
Oh.
And I talked about it on there, and I'm like, I don't know that we know enough.
No, I don't think I have enough input on
You'd have to
art.
see them. Well, the top one, I looked it up, was fucking dumb. And I'm like, in what world? Because even, like, no matter how you looked at it, like, you could look at it from an artistic perspective, and you could look at it from the perspective of, like, and that's what the record store owner said, like, when I'm thinking of this and what I would put on this list, I'm thinking of, I don't need the artist or the title on the cover. I can see the art on the cover and know what the album is. That's what makes a great album cover.
Right.
I looked at it from that perspective.
Nirvana baby.
I looked at it from that perspective. I looked at it from the perspective of, like, it could be art. Like, both perspectives. I think Abbey...
I would want to
Abbey
display
Road
this.
was on there.
Uh-huh.
Not a single other Beatles album was on there.
Okay. Was the Nirvana baby?
I don't think that was...
Oh, I would
maybe.
because it's so recognizable. Like,
I don't
that's what I
think
would...
there was any... Because the guy was saying bands, and the guy's like, there's none of this. There's none of this. There was no Led Zeppelin.
What about Garth Brooks?
Pink
He had some strong ones.
Floyd, maybe, but it wasn't Dark Side of the Moon. Or it was, but it was like number 11.
Probably a Bowie.
And there was no David Bowie.
Whoa!
There was no Queen, I don't think.
Well, theirs were pretty... Although that one of their four heads is pretty...
That wasn't
Like-
an album cover, I don't think.
I thought it was.
Well, there's I forget what it's called, but the one with the robot on it that had Radio Gaga on it, that album.
Yeah, like, I would think of,
Well,
like...
he said Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, but I don't think that was on there.
Like, something that's so recognizable.
But what they did recently, that we do have a bit more say in.
Expertise.
And this was released, when I looked it up, so this I guess be 4 days ago at this point.
Oh.
September 24th, and today is the 29th?
No. 8.
28th, so 4 days ago. The 101 greatest soundtracks
Oh, shit. Is 50 Shades of Grey on here?
of all time. We will not be discussing all 101. We will I will scan through and jump around a little bit.
I hope 50 Shades of Grey is on here, honestly. They got some bangers. All three of them.
So, I will lead in by giving you this piece of information.
Oh, no.
The listener, not us. Because we kind of already know this. So, I do the party we do in the summer, every year, I do pub trivia. And one of the years, our potpourri question was, name the 5 top-selling movie soundtracks of all time. The top-selling movie soundtracks of all time. Number 5 is Dirty Dancing. Number 4 is Forrest Gump. Number 3 is Purple Rain. Number 2 is Saturday Night Fever. Number 1 is The Bodyguard. Our honorable mentions were number 6 is Titanic. Number 9 is Space Jam. Number 12 is Frozen. And number 13 is High School Musical. Those two blew me away. They're that high. But, so that's your top 5.
Best selling.
Best selling. So that's not... Rolling Stone did greatest of all time. This was
I mean,
best
Rolling
selling.
Stone is full of shit, so...
From Elvis gyrating in Prison Stripes and Jailhouse Rock to Prince putting Apollina on the back of his bike in Purple Rain, rock and roll and movies have been inseparable for nearly 60 years. In making this list, we included soundtrack albums built around original songs, Hey, Superfly, as well as expertly curated compilations, We See You, Quentin. Some great soundtracks feature fresh tunes, others are killer mixtapes. And while great movies and great soundtracks can go hand in hand, A Hard Day's Night, sometimes a so-so film is full of historic tunes, so the actual quality of the movie in question wasn't much of a consideration. Before we jump into our list, a couple of caveats. We didn't include any original film scores or musicals. Those are different categories with their own rich
Okay.
histories.
Sure.
We kept it to collections of songs that can stand outside the movie and function on their own as great LPs, staying inextricably embedded in the film they soundtrack while having a life outside of it.
So they're original songs, but it's not a musical.
I have told you what the top 5 highest selling soundtracks of all time are. Number 101 on Rolling Stone's greatest soundtracks of all time, The Bodyguard.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird.
The highest selling soundtrack of all time with 17 million.
In at least within the last 5 years.
Yeah, because this was from 20... What year was this from? 2022? 2021.
Yeah.
So that could have changed.
3 years ago. But we're not talking that long ago. That movie came out in the 90s and it's still the number 1 selling soundtrack.
Okay, granted, the back half of this is mostly schlock. Can we interest you in 2 Kenny G songs, a dance pop cover of Bill Withers, and some overproduced 80s Joe Cocker? However, this 18 times platinum monolith stands as one of the 10 best-selling albums of all time for a reason. That would be Side A. 26 minutes of once-in-a-generation vocal talent that Whitney Houston yearning, I Have Nothing, grooving, I'm Every Woman, hurting, Run to You, hard-rocking, Queen of the Night, and singing the gospel, Jesus Loves Me. And of course, there's I Will Always Love You, a bravado, world-conquering crescendo of a song that peaks with what is probably the most iconic key change in pop history. And yet, it is number 101 on your top-selling, or your best soundtracks of all time.
You're going to tell me Purple Rain is... Because you got Rolling Stone has a hard-on for Prince. He's probably number 1.
I'm Not There is number 100. That's the weird Bob Dylan movie where it's like 6 different actors playing different times. Don't know what that one is. Do the Right Thing. Nope. Romeo plus Juliet is 94.
The one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
The one with Leonardo DiCaprio and...
Okay.
What's his name? Everclear's...
Claire Danes.
Yes. Everclear's Local God. Pretentious refrain of I Would Die For You and Everclear's Local... Okay. Number 1 Crush. These are songs like I don't know what these songs are.
No, I don't either. I liked that movie, but...
Number 93, Footloose.
I mean, no chance Footloose is better than The Bodyguard, but
Let's
all right.
Hear It For the Boy. Almost Paradise. Holding Out For a Hero. Obviously, Footloose. I mean, that was a great soundtrack, but yeah. Number 89, the most recent A Star Is Born. From 2018.
Okay.
I mean, that's a good soundtrack.
I guess.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, Batman from 86? Oh, sorry, 89.
I mean, it's low, though, so yeah, I guess where it is, sure.
Juno. Number
That was
84.
fun.
Top Gun, number 82. Another, whatchamacallit?
I know one song. Power Ballad?
Kenny Loggins. Because he was also Footloose. And he does Danger Zone. Mm-hmm. Reality Bites, Beverly Hills Cop, number 79. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Circles.
Wow. This is the second one. You're thinking of Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh. But it's not Circles, it's Sunflowers.
Good Will Hunting. Dirty Dancing, number 74.
I would not put Dirty Dancing above.
So the 5th greatest selling album of all time is number 74 on Best of
I mean,
All
it's
Time.
a good album, but...
Hustle and Flow, great movie. Empire Records, number 68.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Barbie, number 67.
That one did have a good one.
Garden State, number 66. The Royal Tenenbaums, number 65. Flashdance, number 64. Hairspray, number 62.
Excuse me, that's a musical.
Original Motion Picture Soundtrack.
That's a musical.
Was it? Yeah, in 2007, so it definitely wasn't...
Because isn't that the John Travolta?
No. Oh, was it a movie first?
Was it?
It had to have been. I think it was.
Whoa, that's wild. I
In
always
the
thought it was a
giddiest,
play.
most wholesome John Waters movie, the dreams of Tracy Turnblad revolve around the blah blah blah. Obscure hit
Is that
reminds you
not
of
the
kids
one
in
with-
high school. No, it's not the one with John Travolta. That was in 2007.
Oh.
I don't think it was. Was it?
I don't know.
I mean, this says copyright 1988. on the album cover, and this says 2007. So, I don't know. But, you look that up. Clueless, number 60. 8 Mile, number 58.
Oh my god.
I was expecting that to be number 1.
Yeah, so the film with Zac Efron and them was 2007.
So when's the first one? 1988 or whatever I said is the copyright on that soundtrack. 1988 from New Line Cinema Corporation.
Adapted from the script in 1988 and the stage musical. So what are you doing? That's a musical.
But was it a musical first
Yes,
or was
it's
the
from
movie first?
1988.
Yeah. From the screenplay and stage musical. So did John Waters make this movie and then it became a musical?
No, it was in 1988. And then it was a movie in 2007.
But who directed... Go back to... Who directed the 2007 one? Was it John Waters?
Oh no, look, it's a 1988 comedy film of the same name. It was a movie.
Yeah, so it was a movie first.
It was never.
So that's why it's on here. It wasn't a stage... Yeah, it was definitely a musical on stage.
Yeah, but after the fact.
That's what I mean, yeah.
That is wild.
The movie came first.
I always just assumed it was a musical.
The Wicker Man. High Fidelity. Reservoir Dogs, number 53. What was 52? Okay, it didn't tell me. Keep your secrets. Jackie Brown. Black Caesar. Valley Girl. The Big Chill. That was a good soundtrack. Under the Cherry Moon. The soundtrack to this 5-time Golden Raspberry Fiasco is better known as Parade. Prince's 4th or 5th best album. Menace to Society, Drive.
You think Baby Driver would be on here?
Dazed and Confused. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, number 42.
Oh.
That was a good soundtrack. The Mac. Does this have Return of the Mac? International Players Anthem?
1973. I think that song came out after 1973.
But there's as the backing track for International Players Anthem. Guardians of the Galaxy, number 39.
Wow.
That feels low. The Big Lebowski, number 37. Urban Cowboy, number 36. Magnolia, number 34. Natural Born Killers, number 32. Juice, number 31. The Tupac movie. Lost in Translation. Waiting to Exhale, number 27.
That's a good one.
Almost Famous, number 25. Blue Hawaii with Elvis is number 24. 2001 A Space Odyssey, number 23.
I would not know. But
Black Panther, number 22.
Sure.
Boogie Nights, number 19. Easy Rider, number 18. This is Spinal Tap, number 17. Goodfellas, number 16. Trainspotting, number 15.
Whoa.
Pretty in Pink, number 14. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, number 13.
Rushmore,
number 12. That's The Way of the World, number 11. Your top 10. So I gave you what the top 5
we've seen
selling.
2 of them.
You've seen 2 so far. The top 10. Wild Style from 1983. American Graffiti from 1973. The Graduate from 1968.
What a great movie.
Pulp Fiction from 1994, sorry. Superfly is number 6, 1972. Saturday Night Fever, number 5.
All right,
that
there's
was
another
the
one.
number 2 best-selling.
So that one has sort of been equivalent.
Number 4, A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Number 3, The Harder They Come, 1972.
Do you think number 1's Purple Rain?
Nobody Would Take It, director Perry Hunter recalled something. I'm trying to say what songs are on here. I don't know a single one of these songs. Number 2, Help by the Beatles. Do these really count?
I don't understand. What movie is this from?
That's what it's called, Help. Right from that thunderous opening chord, A Hard Day's Night jumps into the typical day in the madcap life of the Beatles, getting chased down the street by screaming girls strumming their guitars backstage.
So it's just a movie that they made out of their own music?
I think these are just music videos. I think this is like a long music video.
No.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
That doesn't count. So number 1's Purple Rain.
Beyond being part of their wildly successful film debut, every song on the Hard Day's Night soundtrack was written by the Beatles. That means not only the iconic title track, but John Lennon's first stab at ballad writing, If I Fell, the clav-embedded And I Love Her, the girl group concoction, Tell Me Why, and the iconic Can't Buy Me Love, which held the number 1 spot during the week in 1964 that Beatles singles monopolized the entire top 5. So maybe it was a movie and that they just wrote the music for it? I don't know. Because they're also in the movie. I don't know how those work. The Beatles' second movie was a light, swinging London goof, but the real action is on the soundtrack. It was a fond farewell to mop-top sweetness, paving the way for the groundbreaking experimentation of Rubber Soul. The album peaks higher than A Hard Day's Night 2, with some of the Beatles' most mind-bogglingly great songs, including the title track, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, Yesterday, and Ticket to Ride.
Yesterday!
Surrounded by Paul McCartney's R&B burner The Night Before and cute, lovely tunes like I've Just Seen a Face. A still underrated track that sounds something like Simon and Garfunkel attempting bluegrass. The truncated American version's second side was taken up by the film's orchestral score, so Yanks had to wait until the 80s CD reissues to hear what they'd been missing. Yeah, maybe we'll watch the trailer. Like, I don't know how those movies work.
Yeah.
I assumed they were just like
long form music video.
almost like that weird Jennifer Lopez shit that just happened,
yeah.
where it was like, here's our album, and we also shot a music video that's like the beginning to end. The album doesn't stop. Number 1, Purple Rain.
Yeah, I don't get it.
When it comes to rock and roll myth making at the movies, you can't get any purpler than this. At its core, Purple Rain is really an ordinary melodrama about a struggling musician with girl troubles. However, that musician happens to be Prince, at the peak of his historic creative streak. The plot centers around the kid writing the new wave R&B psychedelic funk pop songs that would ultimately change the world beyond the screen. The bass-free avant-pop masterpiece When Doves Cry, the wrenching industrial soul crescendo The Beautiful Ones, and oh yes, the epic beyond epic Purple Rain. With such culture-dominating force, Prince spent August 1984 with the number 1 movie, the number 1 single, and the number 1 album. Thank you for a funky time.
Yeah, like...
So, you listed here 1, 2, 3 songs. Meanwhile, number 101, you listed about 5.
More than that! He listed 5 from side...
A, with Whitney Houston.
But he listed some on the B-side that he said were stinkers, but...
Well, it was that... whatever it was. The 80s Joe Cocker.
Yeah.
I forget who the other 2 were that he listed.
Because obviously she sings, but, like, there's other music.
It's so strange. I mean, Purple Rain is a great album.
They also play I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton.
It's not on the soundtrack, though.
Oh, no, because she covers it, yeah. So they have her cover.
Purple Rain is a great album. But again... It's
weird because I would have...
Forrest Gump had a lot of great songs on it. It was number 4 for a reason.
Yeah, and, like, how does... So
everything in the top 5 selling was on there except Forrest Gump.
But, like, Titanic wasn't on there, which
Titanic is shit outside of My Heart Will Go On.
Well, it's because there's no spoken... That's the only song with words.
Space Jam is a dope soundtrack.
It is. It's like Jock Jam.
And these other 2 can fuck
Frozen,
off. That's a musical. That wouldn't count. I think it's counted as a musical.
Oh.
So I don't think it would count.
Oh, probably. Yeah, because the characters
same thing with High School
are
Musical,
singing.
I think. Well,
High School Musical is yes. But I think Frozen... High School Musical is a musical.
But Hairspray would also fall in that category then.
I guess not because it... Oh.
Because that's a movie. It was a movie long before it was a stage production.
I think Hairspray is... I don't know, like... I've heard some of the songs from Hairspray, so I'm not saying, like, oh, it doesn't deserve to be on there. But, like, based on your criteria, you may have lied a little bit.
It's weird.
As to what you were. But I don't care for Rolling Stone.
They also... Well, it's just... I mean, their lists are usually shit. It's just fun to look at, like, what are you putting in the top 10
And it's interesting to... Like, it does spark a conversation of...
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like... I don't know that we've ever had ones where it's like, I don't agree that this belongs on the list. We just disagree with the order. But, like, I do not support.
There was a lot
Rolling
on
Stone.
there that I don't know. I can't say enough because I don't know them.
Yeah.
And I have never...
Those are hard, too, because there's a lot of movies we've never seen that we wouldn't know.
Well, the other issue with Rolling Stone is... What one did we do? Top songs? I forget what one we did, where I'm like, what is all this, like, artsy-fartsy...
They're very pretentious sometimes.
I'm trying so hard to make it seem like I know a lot about music.
Yeah.
Bullshit. They're like, who the fuck are you kidding? This is in the top 100 greatest of all time.
Well, and
Because you know what you have to take into consideration when you're doing these lists is notoriety. And you're putting half this list is shit no one has ever heard
and
of.
like,
And if it is, it's some avant-garde, like, you and all the other music critics know about it. Like, fuck off.
right, your lists are... The way you're publishing them, they should be like what me, the consumer, is.
Well, they don't
considering.
ever. They also don't ever give like here was the criteria.
I like when the articles do that. Like here's
Like
who
it's
we told.
Like I think Rolling Stone is essentially like we asked our writers
But what
and
is
critics and whoever like
what
what's
website
the
is
best
that
albums
does
of all
that?
time?
Where they're like we went around our office and asked, because at least then when we
BuzzFeed's
disagree,
like a lot of them do it. BuzzFeed's done it. There's been a couple of that do.
because there was a big one where they had big lists.
Rolling Stone did it when like they did their movies and their top TV shows of all time. We did those. It said like we asked critics and writers and producers and directors. Like we asked all these different people across the platform, like give us your top 5, and then we took all their top 5s.
Right.
And that's how we figured out what the top 100 was. It wasn't just this vague, like, here's the top 101 albums of all time.
Because it's like, I just wonder who you asked. Because, like, are you talking to people who really have expertise in this? Or are you talking to people who...
But it's just a weird thing.
Because, like, obviously, if you work at Rolling Stone, you're listening to a lot, you're watching a lot, you're consuming a lot of music and movies.
Not necessarily.
You should... Well, I feel like if you want to work at Rolling Stone, though, like, that's something you're passionate about. But they did kind of leave that out, so it was sort of... Compared to what?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's also a lot, like...
And then I feel like, are you leaving out certain soundtracks just because of the movie that it's attached to?
That very well could be. Wouldn't surprise me.
Like, oh, this movie is, like, very lowbrow. I would never. Because, like, not to say that 50 Shades of Grey should have been on here, but, like, was that movie just not...
So just to give you an idea, since we did talk about iconic album covers, The Velvet Underground, Andy Warhol. Number 10 was Nevermind by Nirvana, which is The Baby in the Pool. Cyndi Lauper, She's Unusual. Sure.
Okay.
London Calling by The Clash.
I don't know it, but...
Funkadelic by Maggot Brain.
Don't know it.
Sure. Patti Smith, Horses. Sure. The Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die.
The Baby with the Afro.
An iconic album cover. That was number 5. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon is number 4.
Yeah.
An iconic album cover.
Yeah, absolutely. What's
Sly and the Family Stone, There's a Riot Going On, number 3. Sure. Number 2 is Abbey Road.
Absolutely.
Number 1, Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures.
Never heard of it. It's just a weird, like, geographical... What do they call that? Topography map.
There's an uncanniness to the jagged, unpredictable angles on the cover of Joy Division's debut album, Unknown Pleasures. Is it a mountain range? A graphical representation of brain waves? Why does it look so bleak? The mystery draws you in, and when you put the record on, with its bass-heavy atmospherics and frontman Ian Curtis's overwhelming angst, the image makes a little more sense. The band's guitarist Bernard Sumner found the artist's peaks and valleys while leafing through the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Astronomy. Like, this is...
I would think, like, I'm not saying that that's not a great album cover. It's not an album that I know. I don't know what I'm...
It's now almost commonplace. Wait a minute. The image has become an icon similar to the Dark Side of the Moon's Prism, which that is true, but it represents so much more. Goth mysticism, post-punk defiance, and stark individualism. It's now almost commonplace on t-shirts, in movies, and as parodies. Jaws, anyone?
What?
So are you trying to say, like, what it represents is Jaws? Or are you trying to say what this album, like, Jaws is parodying this album cover? Because that might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Also, Jaws came out before this. So...
It's a symbol for anyone wanting...
I don't understand that sentence at all.
Neither do I. It's a symbol for anyone wanting to show they're clued into something more introspective than the typical pop culture reference. Bernard doesn't get nearly enough credit for that, because he couldn't have made a better choice, bassist Peter Hook has said.
That was very weird.
How Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures image went from underground album cover to a piece of cultural ubiquity.
Yeah, Jaws came out in 1975. I don't understand what they're...
And of course you can't read this, because I'm not fucking paying for it.
That's... Yeah, because it's from the Washington Post. That's really weird.
Yeah,
And this is when Rolling Stone starts to show its, like...
pretentiousness.
Yeah.
Where you're trying way too hard.
And maybe that is their reader audience, is people who are, like, really, really high
No, because you look at people that are commenting...
And they're disagreeing.
On any platform about Rolling Stone, and it's like, fuck off, Rolling Stone. Like, you haven't been good since the 80s or whatever year.
You haven't been good since you know what you did.
The Who's next? Outkast is Stankonia from...
But, like...
2000.
It's weird because some of the things they have right where it's like, yes, that's a very memorable and, like...
Have I seen the image from that Joy Division album? Sure. Would I be able to say that's what it's from?
No.
Absolutely
and, like,
not.
That's
when I see that Prism,
is.
I'm like, oh, that's Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
And maybe I can't remember the exact album name, but I can tell you, like, oh, that's...
Pink Floyd.
It's Pink Floyd.
You at least know the artist.
Or it's the album that this song is on. I can tell you the band, or maybe I know the album name. I don't know the band. Like I can give. Yeah. I recognize it.
I can see the image. For it to be an iconic album cover, if that's what you're talking about, I need to be able to see the image and tell you either the artist and or the album name.
Or like a big song from that album.
Something.
Yeah, I need to be able to...
Well, if you can name the song, you should probably also be able to name the artist. Hopefully. So that's why I mean, like, it's either the artist and or the album name itself. Mm-hmm. When I see that image on shirts at Urban Outfitters, could not have even begun to tell you that it's Joy Division.
No, I assume
or that it's Unknown Pleasures.
I assumed it was just kind of some sort of computer
thing. Assumed it was some design that someone just put on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Not a clue that it was from an album. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Yet.
There needs to be...
Abbey Road, great example.
Yes.
Number 2.
And there were a lot of them on there where, like, that's... Clearly, that was your criteria.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones where it's like, is this just one you liked a lot?
Yeah.
Or that... Maybe it was done by a particular artist or like something that it deserves notoriety, but like that's a different category.
What's weird to me now that I'm thinking
about... They kind of merged two different categories.
Now that I'm thinking about soundtracks, it's weird to me that just came out 4 days ago. Guardians 1 is on it. Guardians 2 is not on it.
Or Guardians
3 is not on it.
Maybe they just...
Black Panther is on there. Iron Man 2 was just AC/DC. And it was songs that already existed. They weren't for that movie. So I
don't think that matters because they said it was compilation.
That's true because Guardians of the Galaxy, they weren't for that movie.
I don't see...
Baby Driver definitely should have been on there.
Yeah, I thought... And...
50 Shades of Grey should have been on there. I don't know their second two soundtracks, but the first soundtrack was...
Maybe not this...
The second soundtrack... The first soundtrack was fucking
It was
stone cold.
It was so
the
good.
movie sucked so hard, and that soundtrack rocked so much harder.
I think the second and third ones did not disappoint. And it was like, although it wasn't as iconic as the first one, you can tell that the first movie was successful enough that they could get all those big heavy hitters for the second movie. And then when the third one came out, because I think The Weeknd and Taylor Swift are on the second one. And then the third one, again, that second movie did just well enough that they were getting the
so...
And they're so... I think that the one thing I love about those soundtracks is they stick with their theme so hard. They're so dark and very, like, sensual music through all three. They don't sway. Like, they know what kind of movie they are, and they don't try to pretend like they're anything else.
Let me look up on Google.
Oh, because you can't listen to any of them?
Well, you can, but they're
It should
not...
still show you the list.
But it's not giving me all the songs. I just want to look up what's on the Forrest Gump soundtrack. My Apple Music said 34 songs, and it's giving me... Oh. Mine wasn't doing that. Mine was like 1, 2, 6, 8, like...
Hound Dog, Rainy
I
Day
got it right
Women,
here.
Mrs. Robinson.
So Hound Dog... Hold on. Here you go.
Aquarius.
Track listing. Hound Dog by Elvis. Rebel Rouser by Dwayne Eddy. I Don't Know Why But I Do by Clarence Frogman Henry. Walk Right In by the Rooftop Singers. Land of a Thousand Dances by Wilson Pickett. Blowin' in the Wind. John Baez, written by Bob Dylan. Fortunate Son by CCR. I Can't Help Myself by the Four Tops. Respect by Aretha Franklin. Rainy Day Women number 12 and 35 by Bob Dylan. Sloop John B. by the Beach Boys.
Oh, yeah.
California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas. For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. What the World Needs Now Is Love by Jackie DeShannon.
Yeah, like...
Break On Through to the Other Side by The Doors. Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel. Volunteers by Jefferson Airplane. Get Together by the Youngbloods. This is the second album now. Joy to the World by Three Dog Night.
I mean...
Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, B.J. Thomas. Sweet Home Alabama, Leonard Skinner.
I don't understand why this album wasn't included at all.
Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac. On the Road Again by Willie Nelson. Against the Wind by Bob Seger.
I mean, just for the sheer fact of how many songs did they pack in one movie? It was what? The 70s?
What's even more wild?
When
Additional songs. Songs in the movie, but not on the soundtrack. Just to go on this tangent. Lovesick Blues by Hank Williams.
Oh my god.
Which is on your dad's CD.
Uh-huh.
Painted Black by the Rolling Stones. All Along the Watchtower. The Jimi Hendrix Experience. Hello, I Love You by the Doors. People Are Strange by the Doors. Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree. Tony Orlando. Get Down Tonight by Casey and the Sunshine Band. And Freebird by Leonard Skinner. John Lennon's Imagine is mentioned and has its lyrics quoted, but was not used in the film.
That's wild, because isn't he in the movie?
John Lennon?
Yeah. Not himself. Someone's playing him. And I think he I don't know why I think that.
I don't think so. It went 12 times platinum in the United States.
Like, yeah, Rolling Stones does not consider that.
Sold 6 million copies. Shipments figures based on certification alone.
I mean, even if you take the sales out of it, look at how many songs, how many major
that's why I
songs.
listed the songs that are on there, because, like...
That's insane.
How is that not one of the 101 most iconic soundtracks of all time? Or best soundtracks of all time?
Because there's a lot of them where, like, okay, maybe it's a movie that we really like, and they, it doesn't...
I don't really care for Forrest Gump.
But...
As a movie, like, the soundtrack, you heard it, like...
But the
it's
fact
a great soundtrack.
The fact that soundtrack was on that list of top selling.
Yes.
And then, like, we looked at the... Because it could be, like, was it just top selling because the movie was so popular? Which, okay, fine. But no. It's so popular because everyone's like, I just want these songs on all in one spot.
Yeah, it's just wild. All right. Well, on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you for joining us again on this lovely show. Don't forget, if you're listening to this, to rate and review and subscribe, and make sure you have automatic downloads turned on. Tell your friends to do all that. Tell your friends.
I'm taking you in the train.
Maybe. Tell your friends to subscribe to it, and then when the new episode comes out, just click the little 3 dots on whatever your platform is and hit Mark as played. And go in and rate all of them. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. Like and subscribe and comment and let us know what you think about our opinions, Rolling Stones opinions, that Ahmed Best story, whether or not you bought a Trump Bible.
No, don't tell us if you bought a Trump
Was
Bible.
it signed? Did you have him sign the flag for you like that one lady did?
Did he sign the Declaration of Independence portion of the
Did
Bible?
he steal the Declaration of Independence for you? Yeah, like and subscribe, do all that happy, fun stuff. Tell your friends, tell your family. Don't tell my mom to listen to this. Yeah. That's all for this week. We will talk to you guys again next week. Hopefully, I think.
I think so.
Well, we said that last time, and then
Well, that was a whoops.
it's been 2 weeks since. One was laziness. One was technical difficulties.
Well, yeah, we tried.
We have kids. Leave us alone.
I have a toddler who's mean to me.
As always, we love you and thank you for being a friend.